Can we talk about Rittenhouse for a minute? Because I think they're
Well,
not going to charge him.
No, there's an update on the Kyle Rittenhouse stuff. He won't be charged in Illinois. Yeah, did you hear about it, Jack?
Mm-hmm.
You know what that means?
What's that mean?
Narrative debunked. That he crossed state lines with a gun to go to a protest.
Oh, right.
Illinois straight up said there's no evidence to suggest he had a gun in Illinois at all.
He just showed up in Wisconsin. Somebody
He was working in Kenosha.
Yeah.
I think we, this kind of wraps up to the earlier stuff we were talking about, just with tearing statues down, the riots, the unrest, the creepy, weird ideologies. I was actually talking to a CNN reporter recently, like the other day, for quite some time. This is funny. Like,
you're in trouble.
Maybe. I'm like, maybe they're actually trying to do a story and they're lying to me about like just trying to have a conversation. Maybe it's all bunk or whatever. I don't care. I'll talk to people.
Right.
And so, they were asking about what was going on and stuff. And I asked them, about Kyle Rittenhouse? Of course. I said, do you know about the security guard in Denver? Yeah. And I was like, and you know what those two stories have in common? Kyle Rittenhouse wasn't a white supremacist. The security guard wasn't Antifa. Mm-hmm. They were normies. They were normies who came out with guns and shot people on the other side for whatever reason. I'm not trying to equivocate the morality of each incident. They're different. Yikes. But the CNN reporter actually was the one who brought up that Kyle Rittenhouse wasn't a white supremacist, saying like, and like everyone's trying to claim that Rittenhouse is like a white supremacist. No, he was a kid who came out with a gun and was like got into it with people, and then people got shot. And I'm like, exactly. And then the CNN reporter was like, that's scarier. Right. It's scarier that it was just some regular kid who worked for as a local lifeguard who came out with a gun. That's scary. And then I was like, and that's the Denver security guard, this like BernieBro guy. Not super, like people are trying to act like he's Antifa because I guess they want tribalist points to like make Antifa look bad. He was a BernieBro. He was a BernieBro, and he was very active during Occupy Wall Street. But for the past several years, he was working on a farm selling goat milk and chicken eggs or something like that. Eggs. And I saw a post about like him and his girlfriend and the things they did over the past several years. Unlicensed, got a job as a contractor, and shot a Trump supporter in the face. Now, here's the crazy thing about that Denver guy.
But had he been out in the protests before being violent or doing anything? I seem to have seen images, collages of him at a various number of events.
10 years ago.
Was that what's from 10 years ago?
A bunch of photos from him during Occupy Wall Street in 2011, 2012. So, look, it's scarier that he was not Antifa.
Yeah.
He wasn't organized. He wasn't out with black-clad revolutionary communists and socialists. He was a BernieBro watching leftist YouTube videos, and he went to a Trump rally and he shot a dude in the face. He went to a cop rally, a pro-police rally.
I think it's both. It's like scarier, but it's also not scarier because it sucks to see people that aren't already radicalized do stuff like that. But gang violence is terrifying too. So I don't know. It's hard to say which would be worse. They're both pretty horrible.
Sure, but I think it's scarier that regular people are now being pulled in.
Yeah, but that's American militia system is supposed to be American people defending themselves. I mean, I fully agree with you. It's terrifying, and it really shouldn't happen. Shouldn't's a weird word.
Random people coming out and for whatever reason being put in a situation where they have to do it or they feel they have to do it. That's scary, man. I remember talking about this stuff back in like 2017, 2018. And I had so many people say like, oh, Tim, the Proud Boys fighting with Antifa is not that big of a deal. Most people don't know or care who they are. Okay, well, now what about some random kid in Antioch, Illinois? And what about some like BernieBro working as a security guard?
Yep.
Like, violence is there.
Regarding Rittenhouse, too, I want to go into it a little bit more. So I think I don't think we've talked about it on this show yet, but the guy that was coming up after him got charged, right? So there's new charges?
Yeah, new charges.
Whoa, the guy got shot in the bicep? That guy got charged?
No, the guy who fired the first shot got charged.
Oh.
So this is from Cassandra.
Okay.
Yeah, so I always say this, I don't like the Gateway Pundit, man.
But we do like Cassandra.
But yes, we do like Cassandra Fairbanks. She does a pretty good job, and she has the charging documents.
Okay.
So the first dude, I forgot what his name is, like Joshua Zeminski or something.
Yeah.
Is that his name?
Yeah. Well, Josh. Yeah.
That was his name.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm just like agreeing with you.
I didn't know if it was, I don't know if I was getting his name right. Do you want to pull that up?
Something I can pull it up. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So he fired a round into the air, triggering Kyle to turn around. And then Rosenbaum reached for his gun, and Kyle went pop, pop, pop. Dude goes down. And I think that's going to slam dunk his self-defense case.
Yeah.
I think that the only thing he'll end up actually sitting on, for the most part, is going to be unlawful use of, like, he wasn't supposed to be carrying a weapon.
Right.
But the fact that they're charging the other dude for shooting, come on, you can't deny self-defense then.
Right.
Someone fired a gunshot, he turned around.
I was watching all those live streams live that night. And man, I felt like, of course, not there, not the same, but I felt like the energy, like people didn't know, the chaos, the shots going off, live streams, people running down the street, the whole thing. All of it rang to me self-defense as I was watching it, quote, in real time over the streams. And this poor kid's 17 years old.
Yeah.
But when people, your point is that he's a regular kid.
Yeah.
And he believed that he needed to defend private property from the mob. They had just all over the place.
They were gonna blow up a gas station,
burning down whole fields full of cars and buildings and police stations and the whole thing.
and the cops weren't stopping them.
No, nobody's stopping them.
That's why I think we're headed towards. It's not supposed to be a pessimistic thing, but calamity.
Yeah.
Because hold on, think about this.
Yeah.
You've got the social media companies actively shutting down a story that makes Joe Biden look really, really bad.
Right.
What can the right do to counter the fact that you've got people laughing in their faces, figuratively, about how they're cheating, about how they're like, there is nothing you can say that we will ever allow, and we are going to win, and there's nothing you can do to stop us. The rioters have gone out for now 135 plus days, smashing, breaking, destroying, and they're laughing, saying, we're going to keep letting them go, and there is nothing you can do to stop us. And Trump's trying, deputizing these cops in certain areas. But what worries me is, where do you think it goes? If the right keeps getting told you can't speak, and we're going to burn down your neighborhood, what do you think happens?
I think, well, on one hand, I think that what I see happening already is that people are forming their own communities, right? They're already getting together with the idea of socializing, being professional, working with, having their own media environments, their own information, their own sense-making teams, their own sort of communities to actually put up a barrier between themselves and the rest of the world. Now, that's not going to solve your legal issues or constitutional issues or whatever else. There's so many complications when you start trying to think about, a civil war. It's not going to be anything like the 1860s. It's not even going to be anything like World War II. It's going to be some weird hybrid thing of like Afghanistan, where you're here, they're everywhere, we're all everywhere. It's all happening all the time. And for me personally, I'm thinking in my mind, we need to start a new phase in American history. Resettle America. Repopulate America. There's so much land, so many places to go, so many great things to see and places to live, that we need to just have a movement to resettle America and actually just start anew. And you can do it in some places today. But if we're going to sit here and try to predict how the country comes apart, I think we can't. I think it's unpredictable.
You're right. We could set up smaller communities all over the country with magnetic transportation, super fast trains from community to community with solar-powered water condensation in areas, and you could start setting up with our technology and solar power new communities.
Yes. Remember the first time I came on the show, I was all about the 90 acres for 50,000
homesteading.
Yeah, 50,000 person medieval town is all you need, 90 acres. So this has been on my mind. How it shakes out electorally, how it shakes out with the military. It's tribal now. It's networked. It's not geographically centered. You've got people in the cities that see it one way, people in the country. There's not gonna just be like this side of the Mississippi red, this side of the Mississippi blue. It's just not gonna happen like that.
One problem I'm having is that I'm moving states and I can't vote. I'm set up to vote in my old state, but I'm changing states right before the election, and now it's like if I vote in my old state, but I'm a resident of my new state, they might come after me. So I'm just not going to vote because it's too risky. Yikes. And that's ridiculous that I'm an American citizen and I can't vote because I moved states.
Well,
so
I think
get away with that.
You just got to research what the legality is and make sure you do it right.
But I got to get my license. I can't wait another month and a half before I change my. I have to move forward with my life, and that's setting my voting ability down. So
you just vote where you register.
I think you should be able to vote as an American. I don't think it matters where you live on this soil.
No, I disagree with that.
Why?
Well,
because
college for one.
Because larger, denser, wealthier populations strip the rights away from smaller.
But why does a guy in my old town represent me more than a guy in this? Like, why can't I just pick the person that represents me the most?
Because there are small areas that are impoverished and have limited resources, and if we don't have the barriers, you end up with Los Angeles and San Diego voting away the surface water rights from Tulare County, and that literally happened. So then you have a bunch of poor migrant families who one day turn their water faucet on and no water comes out. Why? Because the cities are richer and there's more people and they won the right to take the water away. So we create jurisdictions to protect the minority. That's what this country is built upon. That's the point of partly the point of electoral college. So yeah, it's very important that you vote based on where you are and who represents your area.
So what's up with gerrymandering, where they'll take a area that was previously functional and then they'll split it so that certain people now have control of the area?
Gerrymandering's become extremely corrupted.
Yeah, that's kind of ruined local voting.
I mean, yeah, absolutely.
It's sort of like court packing at the local legislative level. But let's just carry your question out a little bit farther. I think the first thing that happens that we see is just a decreased reliance upon the federal government. Right? Your corporations take more power. Your local communities take more power. Your associations begin to create more power. And then you just start thinking about the federal government less and less, unless you're the one who is like co-opted the federal government to do your bidding. But it's really, because the future is so unpredictable, what I have decided to do is to take action today and to build a community starting today. So what I'm doing is I'm building a community of men with like-minded values. Shared values is how you're going to start to create new communities based on shared values. Because one of the things that's very clear is that we don't have common values. The common values that once made us a country seem to be no longer. So we need to find people that you have common values with and then begin to build a new civilization within.
You have a website regarding that too. What is that website?
Oh, right. So the Liminal Order is the organization that I'm talking about, and it's founded on our 3 core values of brotherhood, masculinity, and sovereignty. So we're very focused on building our own personal sovereignty. We have hundreds of guys around the country, even around the world at this point. And the long-term goal is to create a situation which you can socialize, work with, engage with, do service for, and just have a life with people who share your values right off the jump.
Well, one of the big issues that's like one of the biggest problems we have is tribalism.
Yes, and it's only going to get worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the technology is feeding the tribalism now. So I have a guest coming up on my podcast tomorrow, John Robb, as a matter of fact, who is an expert on tribal warfare, insurgencies, counterinsurgencies, networked warfare, etc. And we're going to talk tomorrow about this very question, actually. And what he believes is that tribalism is on the rise because of the imagery and the empathetic triggers that we can send around to people instantaneously. So you see a video and it triggers an empathetic reaction in you, and you know that if it triggers this empathetic reaction, you're part of this tribe, and if it triggers a different reaction, you're part of that tribe. And so these images keep coming out and they keep coming out and they keep triggering us. And we start to make a pattern and we start to recognize a pattern, and then we sort according to these tribes, and they're networked. So it's like all online. And then these things are now emerging and we see these alliances, right? So Black Lives Matter, Antifa, they're not the same, but they have an alliance right now because they have a common goal. Right. And so the corporations also have a common goal, which is to diminish the power of the federal government. That's why you see the corporations, BLM and Antifa all on the same team today, because they all have the same common goal. They have what's called network alignment. So that's the future of our politics and of our populace and our civilization, is like these tribes, which are built on empathetic triggers and reactions. And then they emerge and then they have alignment. And then that's how you have these alliances. They're not going to last forever. But for right now, that's why you see like BLM, Antifa, corporations all together on the same side.
Where can people follow your podcast?
The podcast is Jack Murphy Live on YouTube. JackMurphyLive.com is the website. Follow me on Twitter at Jack Murphy Live. We're going live tomorrow at 11 with John Robb. I mean, John Robb is a special forces guy. He served all over the world. He wrote a book called Brave New War, where he studied tribalism and networked counterinsurgencies in Iraq and Afghanistan as well. And we're seeing that here. We're seeing it already happen here. Antifa is like ISIS, basically, in the way that they form and the way that they arrange themselves and the way they conduct themselves.
Yep. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. So come back to check us out when we go live. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and we are also available on all podcast platforms for free if you want to listen to us there. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you all next time.